Hello, everyone. Good to see you again. Hello, my mods that are in the house. I see Jen and Georgia and Gypsy. Thank you so much for being here. Hello. Hi, Brandy and Indy. Wild Child. Hi, Black Skies. How are you doing? Let me get our screen to the right screen here. There we go. We are going to be discussing and welcoming everyone. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Cece. Gigi of two. Elaine, I go by Gigi as well. Fun. Today is May 25th, National Missing Children's Day. I put out a video about Eaton Pats. He is the young man, the little boy, I keep saying young man, the little boy that this day was in memory of. And he is, according to the Library of Congress, the first milk child to be displayed on a milk carton, the first missing child. Hello, Soundtrack, RKB, Rusty Pipes, Linda, Justice, Show Poodles. Good to see you all. So the first 48 hours are so crucial. And it's interesting because the majority of the children who go missing are found. But yet we have those cases that eat away at us because they're not. Hi, Lakeith. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Town Chat. Hi, Sherry. Okay, so, and they eat at us. But you know what? If those first 48 hours are so important, so very important. And if if law enforcement is not given precise, accurate information, how can you find that child? If times are wrong, if age is wrong, if the picture is so old it doesn't even look like the child. Because the point of contact is the person who was last with the child is the one they rely on the details. So in these cases that are in front of you, Summer Wells, Sebastian Rogers, and Lily and Jack Sullivan, there have been timeline shifts, or we're wondering also, because law enforcement goes back a few days and different cases, we'll talk about them. Details are wrong and changed in all three cases. So if you have wrong timeline and you have wrong details, such as clothes and pictures and ages and all that stuff, you're going to have the wrong story, right? That makes sense. And then that's why this small percentage, in my opinion, of children are not found. Because these four here, no sight of any four of them. But also, not sure law enforcement's buying Jack and Lily's family's timeline. They are asking for footage back 5 days. Same thing occurred with Sebastian's. They were looking for footage at Night and Dog previous and following. Summer Wells, I don't recall, but I know they were looking for footage, and Ronnie Lawson, the sheriff, said her mother waited a couple hours to report her missing and pretended she just went missing. So all those little deceptions, regardless of if it's because they're responsible, if they were doing something else and something happened, they're afraid to get in trouble, or they did something, whatever it is, these wrong timelines, wrong details, we would not have an accurate story, right? Makes sense? It was just kind of dawning on me because we get so frustrated, right? Hey, you all, please hit the like on your way in if you would be so kind. So when a child is reported missing, let me make sure I'm not muted. Okay. When a child is reported missing, by the way, today is National Missing Children's Day. Many are not home. Many parents are suffering. We saw Seth Rogers' emotional plea to law enforcement to do their job. Please put it in the hands of people who care about children. Desiree Young, she's always pleading for Kyron Horman. Hit the notification bell. He's coming this week, I promise. So many parents pleading for those kids whose rooms haven't changed, right? Who go sit in an empty room and think. But when a child is reported missing, emotions become raw, which can hinder the ability of parents to make rational decisions. Yet the actions of parents and of law enforcement in those first 48 hours are critical to the safe recovery of a missing child, which would correlate to if you're giving incorrect information, you are not being integrous of the critical part of the situation, okay, when your child is missing. So you have to be every detail. See, and it says you make a report to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Be prepared to provide all identifying information. And by the way, we are going to go through, I want to explain to you, we are going to be going through each family a little bit because we have 4 kids without a trace, and that just doesn't happen. But we also have 4 kids where circumstances seem sketchy, timelines change, details are omitted, added, slid in and out, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna go over some of the early press conferences, early parent stuff. We're not gonna watch whole interviews, just for those of you who don't know who Summer Wells is, or who may not know who Sebastian Rogers is, or Lily and Jack Sullivan. So I will be showing you videos. I'm just giving you a little background about how critical it is. So is that why we don't find some children? Because think about it. In all these cases, we have inaccuracy. We have mothers not searching. Yeah, we have mothers not searching in all of these. Hey, Whispering Winds. So is that inaccuracy to protect oneself, cover from something like someone spoke of? It's a means of covering. Is the split real? Or is it a way to show they don't work together, they're done because they were working together? I don't know. This is entertainment purposes only, for educational use. We're theorizing, speculating, critically analyzing what is out there in the public, news conferences, etc. So obviously we know that any identifying marks are crucial. Eye color, hair color, height and weight, anything that you can tell. What they're wearing is so important. In all 3 of these cases, it's a question. It's a question. With Summer, she's in bare feet. At first they said shorts, then they said pants. I heard purple, pink, and gray. She was 4 years old, but really 5 years old. They submitted a photo with her with the blonde bob. Let me go to it for you. And that is not at all what Summer looked like when she went missing. This is what Summer looked like when she went missing. I hate showing it. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Eric. Hey, Southern Charm. So this is what this little angel looked like. Her head was shaved. They say because of lice, but also the mother said because she likes to be like me. Different stories. Okay. Mom was with Summer. Mom is the one not doing interviews. Sounds right. Sebastian was with his mother. Mom is the one not doing interviews. Jack and Lily, their mother was with them. She is not doing interviews. We haven't found their children. The patterns, right? The patterns. Hi, West Virginia Hollow Girl. This is Summer Wells. Her head was shaved this is the very day allegedly. I'm not sure I buy that now. This is what her hair looked like. This photo was from the day she went missing, was reported missing. Okay. Why wasn't this shown to police? She had a video. Mom had a video of her swimming that day, allegedly. Why wasn't that shown to police? Mom didn't come out when police arrived, even though she was the one home. Her husband spoke to police and controlled the narrative from there on. Sound familiar? This is what Summer looked like. Now let's look at what they submitted for anyone looking for Summer. That poor angel. She's so beautiful and she was so neglected. Okay. This is, I'm sorry when I come out here. This is from that day, very day, right on their phone. This is what they submitted that day. Forever on her Amber Alert. It says here 5, but originally it was said she was 4. And I have a dispatch. We're only going to listen to a little bit of it, but I want you to hear that they reported she was 4 years old. Also, I remember listening to her father. He used to tour YouTube like CP does. And I remember years ago him saying that, let me think about it. Oh, I lost my train of thought. He tours YouTube too. He did. Almost every night was on. Upset about social media. So anyway, Summer Moon Utah Wells was reported missing June 15th, 2021. She was 5 years old at the time. The picture on the right is actually allegedly being told that's that day. Okay. The picture on the left and in the Amber Alert is what her parents gave her mother gave instead of the photo she had taken that day. Sound familiar? It does, because that has happened in Sebastian's case. The photos at Texas Roadhouse were not what was given. Is that why certain children aren't found? Inaccurate details? Changing timelines? How wrong timelines, wrong details? Police have the wrong story then, right? We all do. Summer is also in Tennessee. She is in East Tennessee, I believe, Rogersville, which is Hawkins County also. Just so you know, there's very little coverage on Summer. I believe that the lead detective in her case, John Pruitt, he's done 1 interview, I believe, maybe 2. And Ronnie Lawson, the sheriff, same, he doesn't get out and speak. And the public information officer for Summer does not get out and speak, but I hear she made some comments a couple weeks ago, so I will bring that to you coming up in another live or video. This little sweet angel had a real fun day. Sound familiar? Mom took her somewhere really special. Well, Dad was out of town at work. They went with Grandma. The other boys had to stay home and clean the house for CPS, who was coming the next day. She got to go with Mom and Grandma, take Grandma to her appointment at the emergency room. Then she got to go pick up a friend named Hunter, an older boy in his teens, and they went swimming at the lake. And Summer loves to swim, and they got a slushie at Sonic. And she waited in the car while Mom went grocery shopping. That story's gone back and forth, only in there a minute, but yet the boys came out and helped haul in all the groceries. They split them up, sent it to Grandis's house, what was hers. Mom turned away for a Summer went in the house for a second. Mom was just right there, steps away, and was helping her mother, who lives on the property, with her knee brace. And allegedly, Summer went poof, vanished. The mother didn't do many interviews. When she did go on Dr. Phil, she started to cry and left. They also, I think they waited about 8 days, Don and Candace Wells, to come out and speak too. From the very beginning, they said she was abducted. They did do an Amber Alert. That is Tennessee, so they had to confirm she was abducted, right? I don't get it. My mind for her goes with, I hate to say this to you out loud, trafficking. She lived in a very risky environment. Her father has talked about being in hotels with young kids who were being trafficked in California. His ex-wife claims that he was trying to sell his children for drugs, his children that he had with her, two boys, I believe. He talks about a lot of sexual stuff. So it's a very dark environment. So I worry that she was trafficked. And I know TBI was thinking that, and I should have put that in this slideshow. We'll get to that for that next video too. So Summer Wells, is this why we can't find these kids? Because the last point of contact isn't giving correct information, wrong info, wrong timeline, wrong narrative, right? Let's keep going for Summer Wells. Summer, Sebastian, and Lily and Jack, very similar. Mom's not searching. Mom's not doing media. I just want you to hear the beginning of this. Oh, hold on. Can we hear it? Oh. That's weird. Hold on. Let me do something here. Sorry, you guys. I put it on I didn't mean to put it on that. I meant to just put it on where it. Okay. Well, my goodness, is it not going to play? Huh. Hold on, you guys. I'm sorry. Let me change the settings. Sorry, you guys. Let me change the settings real quick. I will be right back. I'm going to change the settings on that, hopefully. Hold on. Weird. Okay, y'all, I don't know why, so I will just pull them right back up. Oh, I had so many things loaded for you all. I am sorry. Okay, let me just pull them up real quick. Okay, this is Summer Wells.
We just told you about for the missing
people searching it last night. Investigation by.
This is the sheriff Many feel like they do for him about Craddock. Alleged family relation between Don Wells, the father, and Ronnie. Good old boys. Let's listen.
19 different agencies. Last night,
Going out to live coverage with the
a lot of
TBI.
investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We jointly investigating this whole circumstance. Our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. It's been a tremendous outpour from the community with
So we don't hear from him much. He is the sheriff. His name is Ronnie Lawson. There is a lead detective as well, John Pruitt, and the public information officer from TBI, I believe, Leslie Earnhardt. Let's continue and see what they tell us. This is June 16th, the day after she was reported missing, Summer Wells, out of Rogersville, Tennessee. And we're talking about, because Summer's mom gave a lot of inaccurate details. She was age 4. They didn't tell him she had a shaved head. They cute little blonde bob. If you were looking for Summer, you could have been looking for a boy, really. She looked like a boy. I would not have picked out Summer with a shaved head for a girl with a bob. I would not have. Many may not have in the rush to search. So this is Ronnie Lawson. This is the first day, June 16th, the day after Summer was reported missing. And Summer is still missing, and there is not a trace of her. But again, wrong age, wrong photo, clothes mixed up, think she's in bare feet. Mom just was right there, and gone she is. In a very rural area, just like Jack and Lily, and not a lot of traffic. Well, at the time we were told there was a lot of drug traffic, things like that in the holler, but not a lot of traffic per se. So hard to believe that she was kidnapped, but I believe if that occurred, my opinion, just my opinion, that she was, I would love Grady Judd to go to Tennessee. Florida's so lucky to have him, Frank. How you doing? I think she was trafficked. That's me. And I believe that TBI thinks that. And I'll show you something next time. I'll put this on the list for a video this week. I've said that twice now, and I want to do that for you. No legal consequences. That's right. But we also have, in this case, we have no parent going to law enforcement. On an interview, Summer's parents said, I remember, well, no, we haven't heard from them in over a year. Well, it's your child. So Summer doesn't have a voice. So it's fine and dandy to them, I guess, in my opinion, that they don't raise awareness, tell the public what's going on. Amber Alert, supposed to keep the story in the face aware, even if you don't share investigative information, none of the above happening.
the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can when we can. But our main goal right now is to find Summer.
We'll take a couple of questions, but keep in mind we can't discuss specifics of the investigation. Can you talk about the area back here?
Absolutely.
What it looks like from your office?
It's very dense. The terrain is tremendously hard. We have virtually no cell phone service. The radio systems we use, which is not that good, we have very little radio communication. We do have several command posts setting up, but what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground.
I'm sorry, I just cannot pass up a comment because Brandy and Indy, you are correct. I've heard this sheriff's son was also in a separate legal situation, and the sheriff was more focused on his son's legal issues than Summer. I have as well, and it is true. His son was charged with something along the lines of serious SAing. And when I say good old boys, I want to ask you something. If you did that to a minor, would you get 1 year in the local jail? Boom. And I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. And we wonder why the kids in Tennessee are not found. Because everyone's got, in my opinion, many have their own agendas. In my opinion, good old boys. But yes, 1 year in the local jail. Should have gone to prison. Hi, Lady for Justice, Stillwaters, Pebbles, Pebbles, Roxy R, Whispering, Lady for Justice, Moni Smoke. We're covering summer, and what we're talking about is, you know, those first 48 hours that are so crucial. Well, why is it most children are found, and some aren't? So if you look at, for instance, Summer Wells, Lily and Jack, Sebastian, without a trace, have vanished. But then again, we also know from these cases, there's facts that have been given that aren't accurate. And if you don't have an accurate timeline and you don't have an accurate details, you do not have an accurate account of what has occurred. It starts with the last point of contact the child had, and that last point of contact, accurately caring to be detailed, gives the descriptions. Doesn't let a secondhand person who wasn't there talk for them, like Candace does and Katie Proudfoot and Malia, as a matter of fact. Oh, he was there though. Okay. But because that's not precise. Precise is you care so much about it and you were the one there that you don't trust anyone else to get that information out as good as you for your child. Right? Hey, Neuro. Yeah. Neuro, I think you are absolutely right. I do. But Ronnie used to make everyone mad too. Hi, Trisha. He used to make us mad too. Hi, D. White. It's good to see you all. So is that why we're not finding their kids? Because they're the ones not giving us what we need in the beginning? Not an accurate account because we don't have an accurate timeline. We don't have accurate details for whatever reason and motive they have. That, in my opinion, is why we don't have their kids. Intentional? Yes, in my opinion. YouTube has sent me warnings based on comments I've laughed about Ronnie Lawson. Okay, oops, I'll be quiet. Everyone be kind in the chat. Okay? Be kind in the chat. I would love, we're going to explore this a little bit more. Summer's case is, they keep saying it's so complicated. And they have not. This is Summer's case. She's been missing since June 15th. She was 5. She turned 9 February 3rd, I believe, or 5th. Gosh, I used to know that off the top of my head. She is now 9. And Leslie, the blonde, is the TBI public information officer, and her name is Leslie Earnhardt. She speaks as well.
I'm searching the woods and different agencies and officers, and it's very hard to communicate. And you know, we're not like, you know, we're in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell service, and just for instance, when we get texts from the media, You may text and we may get it an hour later, and we have no way to reply to it. And the same way with the officers and the ECOM Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI has their command post that should arrive soon, and we're going to continue on until we find Summer and put this case to rest.
Do you believe there was foul play involved, and is there any history with this family?
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still just basically just gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
I find that very significant because, yes, I know. Remember, I did a video on Morrison Cemetery. They say she might be under another person's body. And I did the video because they gave a name, and that person was deceased that week on the 14th, but not buried until the 19th. So when did they dig that hole? Right? Could they have put someone in there? I think she's in Utah. In one of the, I don't know. Like I said, I have a very strong, and now we've heard from one of Candace's friends, who was friends with her, that she called her 2 hours earlier, and that's verified now. Ronnie says she waited a couple hours to call. But she also said, we knew all along that her little girl was there playing with Summer, but was brought home early from the sleepovers, several days early. And the little girl told her mother, they packed Summer's suitcase. She was going somewhere with her daddy. Now, I'm giving you alleged from her friend. I have not verified this, but I'm telling you what the most recent is. And the little girl told her mother, Summer even picked out her favorite dress and they put it in the suitcase. And she was going on a trip with her daddy. Now, I tell you, his ex said he tried to, I'll say alleged, but he tried to sell their children, for rugs. It's not a far stretch, right? Now we hear about a suitcase. And the next part I'm going to get to is the big story, but I'm going to get to that in a second. They all have big stories for people who didn't see anything. Right? KP, she doesn't start the night, last time she saw him. She rewinds to the whole day, the morning of breakfast, with a big story. Spaghetti pancakes, the strike and spare, bragging to family on the phone, picking up the niece, going to BJ's and getting his favorite snacks, going to the Texas Roadhouse, which looked like a miserable event, not fun family time, by the way. And he had just such a wonderful day, right? She starts way back there, big stories. Then a thud came in later. Now we know, now her bedtime's changed. Now she said, dude, you got to get up. Never heard that before. A year later, she tells us he's got moles on his neck. A year later, she clarifies that she misrepresented him. He's very capable, very smart, very high functioning. He's not meant you. If you meet him, you wouldn't think he's special needs, unlike what they said out of the gate, that he is mentally younger than his age. Made him look very incapable, allegedly. Is that why we can't find these kids? We have parents. Yeah, the colossal popcorn doesn't exist, I called. It's a colossal pretzel. So get to brag and got her snacks and Google it, y'all. So that's why we can't find these kids. And we'll get to Lily, but these big stories. Lily and Jack's parents allegedly asleep. Yet he knows what Lily was wearing, that she left with a backpack, that they both put boots on but didn't hear the slider. And they went out to play and were playing out there, but we were unaware of it. They know a whole lot. Big stories. Big stories. Right? I want to get to the public information officer. Does she not speak in this one?
The bottom line is we don't know where she is. Away from the home, bodily harm, where a child could.
Okay, so this is the lady in charge of making sure. Thank you all for being here, by the way. Sorry, I got right to it today, but I appreciate each of you. And it's really good to be with you on National Missing Children's Day. So many chairs are empty. So many beds are empty. So many people are hurting. So many kids are scared. Thank you for being here. And let's all just take a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. So I don't understand. I'm beginning when we get these detailed stories and then vagueness in the timeline and stuff, my red lights go on now. Let's listen to Leslie Earhart. She is the one responsible for keeping Summer's face in the public and awareness, even if, because there's an Amber Alert, even if she can't share investigative, she's supposed to be keeping her out in the media. That is not happening.
Sure. After the initial search and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an amber.
And what's the difference between those two alerts?
An endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An amber alert is, we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death. And it's the most severe alert.
It appears to be that she walked away from the home.
When we believe a child is a mid-level alert, the alert to an amber. Sure. After the initial search and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an amber.
And what's the difference between those two alerts?
An endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An amber alert is, we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death. And it's the most severe alert.
Since it appears to be that she walked away from the home, why was it upgraded to an amber alert? Can you clarify that a little bit more?
Well,
So something they found in the investigation led them to give the Amber Alert, to approve that. She's with TBI. TBI in Tennessee is the one who does approve those. So something as that they got from June 15th to June 16th, they learned something in their investigation to believe she was kidnapped, taken. And I'm telling you, hit that notification bell and subscribe, because I this week will share with you why I know they believe she was trafficked, or did believe. Let's keep going. Leslie Earhart, Public Information Officer, and this is credit to ABC6 for educational purposes and fair.
the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial.
Why was it upgraded to an amber alert? It appears to be that she walked away from the home. Why was it upgraded to an amber alert? Can you clarify that a little bit more?
Well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted, and the sheriff's office acted on the information available at the time. And as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an Amber Alert.
Well, when the Amber Alert was issued, you said there was new information that led you to believe that Summer might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff Lawson mentioned earlier that he's asking community folks that if you have enough resources here, what's your message to the community that they feel like they want to help in some regard? How can they help in this time?
If they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They want to reply to us or respond anonymously. That's fine, as long as we find Summer. That's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. When they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls, and then everybody can call that 1-800-TBI-FIND, and it all goes into a database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So TBI helps us with that.
We know the FBI was called in fairly early. Can you kind of explain why that decision was made?
Well, we have an excellent.
So in the initial hours of the investigation, hey, Lil Red. Hi, Ginger Girl's mom. In the early hours of the investigation, hi, Summer Rain, they found something that made them realize they needed to activate the Amber Alert.
Relationship working together, and just like if this case stems outside of Hawkins County, then you have the TBI to help with that. But if it expands on out past the state of Tennessee, then you got the FBI. So we're all on the same page, and we just keep on going. We're just working together as a team. All have the same goal. Let's find Summer.
One more question.
Can you expand on maybe just the area where you guys are searching? Maybe if people see something in a certain area, they should be on heightened alert if they're in a certain area or part of town.
Sure. Can you expand on the area?
Well, the train and stuff is like you see here. This is what the people are searching in. But if they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we need to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post.
Kind of landmarks in sort of an area that you're searching
Just
everywhere?
around Ben Hill Road in that area. That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house, and evidently she got a little farther than they expected.
She got a little further than they expected. And there is one press conference where Leslie says she was last seen walking on Ben Hill Road. Very little information on this case that has been verified by law enforcement. And yes, the whole system out there where Summer went missing is very much good old boys kind of thing, very laid back, but he's a likable guy. He's very likable in my opinion, but they're like living on island time, basically, or whatever they say, Southern time, but I don't know. But there has been no movement in the case. And I want to show you one. Wait, did I save it for you? So, Mom, that's what I want to show you, is the mother and father of Summer Wells at her 3-year disappearance. Sorry, my slideshow went kapooey. So I'm trying to give it to you. I don't know why I set it up a certain way.
With deep meaning to Summer's disappearance.
Borden Park is anything but quiet this time of year. But 3 years ago, it was filled almost weekly with people praying for Summer Wells.
I see all these families, with their kids and how much they enjoy them and stuff. And we were stripped away from all our kids. All our kids have been kidnapped from us by DCS, and we're not sure about Summer, but we know about where our boys are at.
While the prayer vigils are now few and far between, Dawn and Candace Wells haven't stopped praying that their daughters.
Okay, first of all, the boys were not snatched from them. The conditions in the home and the circumstances is what led them to remove all 3 boys in the following month. Okay. And they are now thriving and very happy. And I believe they've been adopted. So as much as it hurts what Summers went through, and it's tragic, she did save her brothers because they're out of there. But now we got to save this little girl. Look how beautiful she is. So pretty. These are her parents, Don and Candace, at the 3 years. So June of 24, last year. I apologize that you rarely get to see Candace unless she's on her own channel, and then she doesn't want you to talk about Summer. Usually.
Summer will be found.
We have hope, always. I mean, but there's not much hope in this world. We have to trust God that there's hope in eternal life in heaven.
Summer was reported missing on June the 15th of 2021.
We know that she was taken off her property, and we know she was taken away in a vehicle, or they would have found her in the area if she was somewhere in the area. But who's responsible for her? We don't know.
I asked Don and Candace when was the last time they heard from investigators.
We haven't lately at all. It's been a while, over a year, I think. I haven't talked to any law enforcement at all. I tried to talk to the FBI agent about it, but that didn't go anywhere.
Don says he feels that he and his wife Candace were targeted by the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office.
They intimidated us, they belittled us, and done everything they could amidst all the chaos. And then the CPS was there doing the same thing.
When asked about how he thinks about Summer.
Notice Mom has left the interview. She left Dr. Phil too. And when they came and did an interview on the property last minute, because Ronnie Lawson had said the family needs to talk to him, she refused to get in front of the camera. She took a piece of note paper and wrote her statement on the back, leaning up against the pickup truck, and handed it to this reporter. Where he's saying that he has a very victim mentality. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard. We know they're suffering. Even if a parent is responsible, there's got to be some sort of suffering, right, going on. But she left that, and she is the one who was there. And she has let him control this narrative. She gave that picture, even though she had current ones.
Summer's disappearance 3 years later, Dawn spoke about a Department of Children's Services investigation.
They said somebody had called and said that we was giving our kids loaded guns to play with. And so they closed the case June 14th, which is something CPS does not do. They don't just close cases. So it's really odd and mystifying why they closed the case June 14th, and then 24 hours later, Summer's gone.
Summer's mother, Candace, sat in for part of our interview, but got up after a few questions.
She was going to try, but her emotions are just too much.
The last update in the Summer Wells case from law enforcement was an age-progressed photo released in June of last year. This image was released by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. If you have any information,
She really looks like her mom in there, doesn't she? Okay, now, when Don said, and I'm sorry, I have to say it. When Don said she was very emotional, but she tried, I don't see any emotion. I see a blank slate. But, another parent that wasn't home that knows everything. Yes, yes, yes. NCP has compared himself. Yes, let me keep going. Real quick, see where we're at here. And I'm really sorry, you all. I had everything loaded up into the slideshow, and I did something that's making it not just click for you. Hold on. There's just the beginning of dispatch I want you to hear. Okay. I just want you to hear the very beginning where they say she's 4 years old. She was 5. She was 5.5.
Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home. Now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for.
Mother never mentioned going for a walk to any time after that. This is credit, by the way, to Killer Crimes. And they said she's 4 o'clock. Now, it was never said that mother went for a walk and couldn't find Summer. It was said she was doing her mother's brace. Dispatch is totally different story. Wrong timeline, wrong details, wrong story. And that's why we can't find specific kids. Hi, AGOT Change. Hi, everyone.
For about 10 minutes now.
Yeah, for what was it, Miracle?
And 110. Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home. Now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Yeah, for what was it?
Inaccurate. She waited a couple of hours to call. So let's get back to our slideshow. Okay. So I'm just going to have to load it back up. So I will for Lily and Jack. Let's go back. Thank you all. We are talking about how crucial the first 48 hours are and why are there some children we are not finding. And it comes down a lot of those first initial moments, getting inaccurate information, like Summer didn't even look like Summer. Okay. Or getting an hour's head start, wrong timelines. Then we know we don't have the right story if we've got the wrong everything, right? Let's go ahead and look for Lily and Jack. Sorry, the slideshow went kapooey, but I will pull it all up. Lily and Jack's mother is also not searching. She's done one media interview. We're going to listen to it. Also, the boyfriend is searching, is speaking out. I guess he calls himself the stepfather. I don't know if they're married. The kids were last seen Tuesday afternoon when they got off the school bus. School was closed on Wednesday in Lansdowne Station. Independence, I forget the name of their school, Salt Springs Elementary. And then Thursday and Friday, the kids did not attend school because Lily had a cough. So last proof of life is bus driver Tuesday afternoon, was reported missing Friday morning. Allegedly last heard around 8 a.m. They live in a small trailer. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But they heard them playing out there. Lily went in and out of the bedroom. The boots were apparently lined up by the door. Now, how would a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old get their boots on without making a noise that you would hear? They said they were sleeping in and out and could hear them playing and all of that. So some suspicious things. Last proof of life, law enforcement now has gone back and they scaled back the search. The scent ends, by the way, at the driveway. They searched the woods. And then they scaled back and then went back out there. And they also got the trail cam footage from the neighbor who had 7 trail cams out there and went back 5 days. Again, Jack first had a pull-up on, then he had brown pants and brown shirt on. Lily has a backpack, a pink shirt, the boots, both of them. But yet, big stories, sliders that you don't hear ever. I've never seen one in my life. Okay. Wrong timeline, possibly. Wrong details. Changing details. Wrong story. That's just kind of how I see it. I did, Scotty. I'm gonna share that with you all this week. Thank you for letting me know. I saw Summer got an actual mention. Woohoo! Okay, let's go to the search for Lily and Jack. And it seems like that law enforcement now, they're a little behind the gun. It took them a few weeks to go get trail cam footage to see where the kids were. They're talking to neighbors. It seems like they are suspicious about the timeline and what they are being told.
In other news today, the search continues. Stowe County with the search.
Year-old Lily Sullivan.
You are now going to meet, he refers to himself as the stepfather. You know, Brandy said, what bothers me about Lily and Jack is the mom suspected they were autistic, but never diagnosed by a doctor. Like, mom is pushing that narrative, in my opinion. Agreed. Oftentimes they do wait. Some parents do wait for kids to get to school for the school to help with the process. Then they give the referrals, but that's not what schools are supposed to do, right? Schools aren't supposed to diagnose or anything, but sometimes it takes them being told by someone at school. I don't know. Yes, pushing that narrative, and also the narrative that they will talk to anyone over and over. Right? Hi, Tennessee Whiskey. Hey, Lisa. Scotty, too hot tea. So let's meet the self-referenced stepfather, who is the one searching, who is the one doing interviews. Mom is not.
The last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone. Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there.
So again, this search began with family members and has now expanded to dozens of search and rescue volunteers. About 160 people were on the ground yesterday. There were dogs brought in to try to catch a scent of these two children. There were 8 drone units in the skies searching, as well as a couple of helicopters as well, each one of them equipped with infrared sensors and cameras looking for these children. Now, we heard from police talking about some of the challenging conditions and logistical issues that they are running into with this situation, with the kind of the situation on the ground. Here's what police had to say about this search.
With the wet weather, it makes things a little more complicated for our searchers. Given they're in the woods, it's wet, things are slippery, footing's not the greatest. It's the water's it's not the best, but they're still trudging through and they're still working hard at doing the job that they have to do.
Again, we know that 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan went missing on Friday morning. That is when this search began and when the family.
So they have big stories. Lily was coming in and out in a pink shirt. They could hear Jack playing. They were dozing in and out. One account says they were feeding their baby, who is 16 months old. Meadow, I believe her name is, in the other bedroom. They dozed off and suddenly they woke up to silence. And the slider was closed. So the kids, not only who aren't used to going out on their own, put their own clothes on, opened the slider so stealthily it made not a sound, closed it. Now, Daniel says within minutes he was out looking for him. But at 8 a.m., so there's discrepancy there. 8 a.m., they realized they weren't, they heard them and started dozing off. They called around 10 a.m. He says he immediately jumped in the car and went looking in back roads and culvers. But if he got out there immediately, how far could the kids have gone, right? Very interesting. Scent ends at the end of the driveway. Beginning to think possible boot print that was found could have been planted, in my opinion. Could have been. We don't know. And they could have been abducted. We just don't know. I want to go to a press conference on the case.
A ground search is set to resume in just hours for 6-year-old.
They scaled back and came back out. And when they came back out the second time, they were around the kids' home and speaking to neighbors and getting cam footage, trail cam footage.
Lily, 4-year-old Jack Sullivan. The parent went missing without a trace from their rural Pictou County home on May 2nd. CBC's Michelle Kasub has been following this for us. And like I say, this is a search that's set to resume in the morning in the Maritime. So we are just hours away. What do we know?
Set to resume tomorrow morning and continue into the weekend. This is going to be a search by ground and by air. So there's going to be a ground search crews, RCMP, as well as the Civil Air Search and Rescue Association are all going to be on the ground there, scouring for any sign of these two children that have been gone for 2 weeks now to the day. This is, the 2-week mark that we're hitting today. Search and Rescue told CBC News that it was RCMP that requested them to resume their search, but we don't exactly know what might have prompted that, if there's new evidence, new clues as to where these children might have gone. What Search and Rescue has said at this point is that this is likely to be a recovery mission at this point, given the length of time these children have been gone. And the search is going to focus on areas that either haven't been searched before or were searched, but they want to do a more thorough search.
So they're circling back, right? They're more thorough search on things they have searched before. Brandy and Indy, I agree. It's the autism and runaway connection. And I think that may be why they pulled that out there. Okay, I agree with you. And you know what's interesting also? This whole they got out while we were sleeping phenomenon that's been going on. And then almost more times than not, it turns out not to be true, made up. Right? Let's listen to the RCMP.
Of those very remote, very densely treed areas.
Mm-hmm. Today actually marks, 2 weeks now since these two children went missing. And I know that a lot of people have been captivated by this story and the search for them. But for those who need to be brought up to speed, talk to us about how this all started.
Yeah, it was May 2nd that these two children disappeared from their home. The thought is that they might have slipped out from a sliding glass door and disappeared into the woods near their houses. This is described as a very, very dense, very rough area, a lot of downed trees because of a storm that happened in that area. Reporters on the ground have described, stepping into the forest and immediately being swarmed by ticks and bugs.
So right there, I'm very sketchy suspicious, because if we have professional searchers searching the terrain for the children and 2 children are missing, wouldn't we find something? Because they'd be injured, maybe a piece of their clothes torn. We're having professional people getting injured. How did the kids make it through? How did they get through without a piece of clothing teared or anything dropped because the terrain was so much they didn't want to carry that backpack? Very suspicious to me. Very suspicious. And Brandy, I think you are spot on about that. Yes, Brandy and Indy, Jack is 4 and he would have had a pull-up on. So the stepfather continues to mention why we haven't found a pull-up. It is happening more, Jen. I'm sure it is. Because so many times we hear they snuck out in the night and then we find it's been a nefarious situation, right? Great comment. Yeah, something, right? Lady for Justice, clothing, shoe, dropped glove, one of those thorns grabbing the pink shirt or anything. A boot slipping off. It's very strange. One of them injured. Why didn't they find, maybe one of them would have been, all these others are people are getting injured. So the pull-up is on, and he keeps saying, I don't know why they didn't find his pull-up. And I keep wondering, were they supposed to find the pull-up? It makes it sound like it because he keeps mentioning it. But then again, they listened to each other's cases, and we also said, why didn't KP and CP mention the pull-up ever? So maybe that's why he's mentioning it. I don't know, but it's very odd. He's 4 years old. It's an odd age. Maybe he's a bedwetter. We don't know, which in itself, okay, if what's going on. I don't know why he's in a pull-up. Maybe it's a nighttime. Maybe it's just for nighttime. I'm not sure. That has not been explained. They can get into nooks and crannies. Absolutely. And we just don't know, because I just don't believe they crossed the street, because the scent doesn't go across the street. And that's my opinion. I don't believe they got through terrain undetected when adult and professional searchers were having a hard time. Okay. I do believe it's possible that someone took them somewhere after an accident. I do believe it's possible they were out playing and someone picked them up. However, when you have conflicting wrong details, changing in wrong timelines, wrong details, we have the wrong story. So what is it? Where are these kids? Let's keep going.
So really, really tough terrain for search crews. So there's around 100 to 160 searchers out on the ground looking for these kids. On May 5th, so 3 days after they went missing, the search crews indicated they had seen what they thought could be a footprint. That was kind of the only clue we've ever heard of from them during this 2-week period. Unfortunately, that footprint did not yield any results. And then it was on May 7th, so 5 days after the kids went missing, that they said they were going to be scaling back that search. At that point, it looked like there was less hope that they were going to be finding these children at that time. The next day, they brought in underwater searches looking for waterways near that area. And it was yesterday that police said they don't believe these children were abducted. They haven't ruled out that this could be suspicious, the situation. And then that brings us to tomorrow, where we're going to see that search resume.
Yeah, thanks.
So 2 of them without a trace, really. Nothing left behind. Yes, Jen, kids are blessings and to be cherished. I know. It's hard to fathom. That's why we always say, would a mother do this? Because it's hard to fathom. But then we go through a case and a mother did it, right? Lily and Jack, what happened? Their real last proof of life is Tuesday. Summer's last proof of life would be when they dropped Hunter off. And those people saw, but they're, changing stuff too. Stories changed. And then Sebastian, his last proof of life is leaving the Texas Roadhouse on video. But the details coming from the people who were last with the children have to be accurate. And most children are found in those first 48 hours. Here's 4 children who haven't been found. Poof, no trace. Not accurate details, not an accurate timeline, and therefore not an accurate narrative, in my opinion. Things stand out. We see patterns, commonalities between the situations. It's just heartbreaking. Let's watch their mother, Malia Brooks Murray.
And I want them home.
RCMP say there is still no sign of 2 siblings who are believed to have wandered away from their home.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home.
RCMP say there is still no sign of 2 siblings who are believed to have wandered away.
Could you hear me? I was talking along. Sorry, y'all. I'm not sure if you heard me. We were about to play Malia Brooks Murray, the mother, who, by the way, left the home the day after the kids went missing. The family had an argument. Her family accused Daniel, this alleged stepfather, of doing something. His mother kicked them off their property where Malia and the kids lived. She left with the 16-month-old, but she has not been searching or doing interviews. So let's go ahead and listen. Another mom not searching. She's got big stories too. Come on, give me a break.
Just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them.
Wait, I just want to get it. I know. Oh my gosh, hold on.
Home. I want to hold them.
I'm having serious issues.
And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. and they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Wow. Okay. So she doesn't get up with her 4-year-old or her 6-year-old. They got out. She's not searching. She's not interviewing. That is the one and only time we've heard from her. So I didn't notice that, Little Red. Little Red said, did you notice the clothes they described as exactly the clothes they were wearing, the pictures they put out, pink and brown? Yes. Oh, now that you mention it, yes, I hadn't before. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, so I don't know what in the world would keep you from being where your children, well, another case we know, right? Summer's mom didn't search. I will never forget, and I always bring it up, the time she said, I search when I'm driving down the highway. I always look out my window to the side of the road. You know how fast you're going on the highway? And we don't have proof KP searched. And this mom's not searching. It's very strange, right? And big stories. This mom, and Daniel says they put their boots on and grabbed her backpack and, all this stuff. Big stories for people who saw absolutely nothing when it went down. Here is the backyard fence. There's an opening here. It's fairly enclosed, right? Fairly enclosed here. This is where Grandma lives with the uncle. There is an opening here where the kids could get out and come this way. And this is where the scent stopped. This is the ever so quiet slider. It looks rickety to me, old, like it would definitely make some noise. My opinion. You form your own. And this does not look safe for the kids. Reminds me of Summer with the mattress out there. This reminds me very much of the environment Summer Wells was raised in. She was also from Holler, very rural like this. This is the corner of Pictou County. They have such little traffic. Just logging trucks, a few local cars, and the school bus is usually their only traffic. The closest town is 15 minutes away. There's a network of back county roads that only the locals know, crisscrossing rivers and dense forests swarming with black flies. We are going to go real quick. I want to play this for you. I'm going to show you the neighbor. Hold on, let me mute her.
Where you need it, from coast to coast. Learn more.
Trail cameras might contain clues about the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan. RCMP asked her for days of footage as the investigation into the missing children approaches the 3-week mark.
It's scary, especially not knowing what happens. We definitely keep our kids a little closer to home now.
The 4- and 6-year-olds were reported missing from this home on May.
Look at that view. Look at all of this. Hold on, let me go back over there. That view is awful. Look at all of this. That is not the least bit safe for them to be playing in. Oh my goodness. Look at that.
May 2nd, launching a massive search of the woods surrounding the home. No trace has been found, and RCMP haven't ruled out the case is suspicious. This is some of the footage Scott gave police. She says RCMP major crimes officers came to her home this week, asking for everything on her 7 cameras, starting April 27th, 5 days before the kids were reported missing. 2 of Scott's neighbors were also asked to provide footage to RCMP. She says the officers also asked about her family's vehicles to rule out local traffic in the footage.
Possibly they are wondering if they didn't go missing earlier, or maybe somebody who isn't local to the area was around beforehand.
This road is the most direct path from Scott's property to the home the kids went missing from. We drove between the 2 places. It's about an 18-minute drive down rough dirt roads. Straight through the woods, it's about 5 kilometers.
I did mention to them that I was very happy to see them and glad that they were canvassing a little further and looking at trail cam footage. And they did respond saying that they probably should have been around earlier.
We never like to hear that, right? Should have been around earlier. So that terrain, how could 2 not leave anything behind, not have a branch tear anything? So I agree. In my opinion, when a scent ends, just miraculous, just ends, poof, they vanished, that child is put in a vehicle. That's how I feel. So I agree with you, Town Chat. Just a thought, in my opinion, and if the scent and their scent, yeah. So it wasn't like one wandered, so they stayed together. Just a thought that if their scent ended at the end of the driveway, then sounds like to me they were handed off to someone in a vehicle, possibly. Correct. Or someone in a vehicle snatched them. It could be. And the parents are seeming weird because they know they were sleeping and neglectful. I don't know. They have checked nearby waters. I know they did do that, but I don't know how many. Lansdowne Lake, I think. Let me get the RCMP on here. But if we don't get the full, if we don't get the correct details, how in the world, and we don't have the correct story, hold on. This is the dog handler I want you to. Okay, hold on. I'm going to share this with you. This is the dog handler talking about how shocked they didn't find anything. A former dog handler.
Glenn Brown is Lansdowne Station. There's still no sign of Lily and Jack Sullivan. Glenn Brown is having a hard time wrapping his head around that. The retired RCMP dog handler of 26 years says it's baffling to him the children are still missing after such wide-scale searches that included upwards of 160 search and rescue personnel, dogs, helicopters, and drones.
I find it hard to believe that a 6 and 4-year-old would just disappear like that. I guarantee you, if I was still working today, that'd be the thing you'd be racing around your mind all the time. Like, where would they have gone? Like, we have done everything. I think the last thing I read, they searched a square kilometer area, 5 kilometers. That's a big area. And that's meticulously searched.
The children were reported missing from a home on Gairloch Road on May 2nd.
So even the dog handler says it's shocking, right? Hold on. We're going to end here let me get it in here real quick. Shoot. Be right there. Okay, let me share this. This is just a little update from when they did their press conference.
2 Nova Scotia children who went missing in this community 6 days ago.
Based on the experts and the review of the facts, the inclement weather, the time frames, and their age, the likelihood that they're alive right now is very low.
6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were last seen at this property on Friday morning. The massive search has included the RCMP, more than 140 ground search and rescue workers, 3 helicopters, and multiple drones, scouring 4 square kilometers of heavy wooded rural terrain. 2 vulnerable missing persons alerts have also been issued. It appears the children have disappeared without a trace, leading into today's announcement by the RCMP.
As of today, May 7th, the active search efforts to locate Lily and Jack will be scaled back.
It's devastating news for the family who have been holding out hope for the past 6 days that Jack and Lily would be found.
100 days isn't enough. A whole lifetime isn't enough for them. I just want to find them.
The RCMP considers all missing persons files to be suspicious, and the Major Crime Unit will continue its investigation into what happened to these 2 small children.
Notice they had the photos up of the kids. I really like that. I don't like it when they don't do that photo. When they don't have the photos up. So, suspicious story, suspicious timeline, suspicious details, suspicious timeline, suspicious story, in my opinion. Wrong timeline. Police are even going backwards. If you've got a wrong timeline and wrong details, you have the wrong narrative. We've been given the wrong narrative. In my opinion, that's how it works. Okay, let's see here. Let's get to this press conference. I want you to see. Oh, wait. Oh, it's for Sebastian now. So we are going to transfer over to Sebastian. So all these cases have some similarities. Huge searches. All 3 had huge searches and not a trace of the children found in the searches. All 3 live in homes where people don't usually drive without needing access to the neighborhood. Sebastian's home ends in a cul-de-sac. Summers is in like a holler, and you don't access it. She's up on the top of a hill. Jack and Lily are in an isolated area, not meaning people aren't driving by like logging trucks, because they are. But very similar situations. We have moms who aren't searching. We have moms not doing interviews. We have other people controlling the narratives than the biological mothers. Some are not even biological family members. We have timelines. Sebastian's case, there's no timeline because it changed again on Dateline. Her bedtime changed. What she did change. She stopped to ask someone about a dog walking. She didn't search the high school. By the time she got there, she was told to turn around. Everything, she just blew it up with that Dateline printed article. And if you didn't see my video, Missing in America and Dateline do not do articles for print only. They go into a podcast. We went through the whole thing. Dear Sweet Sebastian was the only one without a podcast. Why? Well, I can tell you why. Who did the interview? She chose not to do a podcast, in my opinion. Every other child had a podcast where they investigated and tell the story and draw them in. Nope. Sebastian didn't get that. He got a general interview podcast of how to search for autistic children. Mothers who don't search, mothers who aren't careful with the details of their most loved one that is missing, mothers who are careless with the timeline. Wrong details, wrong timeline, you're getting the wrong story. Let's listen. Credit to WKRN News 2.
It's been nearly 1 week since 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers went missing over in Sumner County. Our Jaxie Pigeon live at the command center this morning with the very latest developments. And Jaxie, we understand reward money is now on the table.
That's right, Blake. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office tells us that a group of local investors invested a minimum of $3,000 toward any information that would help investigators in finding Sebastian Rogers. I now want to bring in EMA Director with Sumner County, Ken Widener. Ken, as we near this week-long search effort, where are you focusing starting today?
Well, we keep expanding. So we've expanded west and we're expanding north. We just keep expanding the search area and we're bringing different teams in. Yesterday we had a group from East Tennessee come in. They're mountainous experts and they do caves, and so we've had any cave that we've marked, we've had them in those caves. City of Gallatin has done all the storm drains in the area with cameras. So we keep expanding and just throwing everything that we can at it to try to get him located.
In terms of the search, you said you've been expanding. About how much ground have you covered?
We're close to 5 miles now. Now, the further south you go towards Hendersonville, we get into city, and we would expect he would be located or seen if he were in the city. And we've gone into the city, sort of in the fringe, in the more not as urban areas of Henderson, but we've been all the way to the lake on the streams that travel to the lake. We've been to the lake.
And you have over 300 searchers here.
Well,
yesterday.
I had 330 on the ground, and then we'll run the numbers later today on how many come in today, we run that as the day goes on.
And 43 years in law enforcement, you told me. What does this experience look like in terms of people coming together to help out in this one mission to find Sebastian Rogers?
Well, one thing about Tennessee and the Southeast is we're always going to have people that want to help. And
yes, but unfortunately, they have some good old boys systems going on out there, in my opinion. Dolly just put up 5,000. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to mention another channel. Please don't mention another channel. Use initials. Thank you. That's very cool. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, amazing, intense search for Sebastian Rogers. Vanished, not a sight, not a piece of clothing, nothing. Okay. Sebastian was with his mother. Okay. His mom said he doesn't have shoes. Right off the kick, law enforcement would not confirm that, which tells us they weren't buying everything right off the kick. Okay. Or the reasoning or the rationales. In my opinion, this is all my opinion. Okay. There has been very little about Sebastian in the news. Sebastian's sheriff does not say his name, does not mention him. He does not address the public. Now, Sebastian, there's nothing. Even though the stepfather likes to say scents were followed and give the flashlight path and all that, law enforcement has said There has been no scent tracked from the house, no evidence Sebastian left the home. So again, like Jack and Lily and Summer, someone had to pick them up and put them somewhere. If a scent ends, or for Sebastian's sake, picked him up and carried him out of the home and drove him away. They don't just vanish. But we're 15 months to Sebastian's and mom's still changing timelines, adding events, last words, everything. That's why we can't find these children. And Sebastian's mom, for having no idea what happened, she again has a really big story leading up to it. And Sebastian had a Sunday fun day. And she puts it off like, yeah, we do fun stuff like that together on the weekends. But the Texas Roadhouse footage does not look like they're out having fun together. Looks like she doesn't want to be there, like they have to be there, in my opinion. 1 second. Sorry, my slideshow went kabunk. I will get everything pulled up for you. We are going to be listening to, there have been very few press conferences for Sebastian Rogers. There hasn't been one in over a year. This is the person who's responsible for that. Nancy, it'll come to me. She's the public information officer for the Amber Alert child. Sebastian Rogers is supposed to be keeping his face and his story in the public, and she is not. This is credit to News 5 WCVB. Let me put that up real quick. News 5 WCVB. And we are going to listen to this. And there are press conferences, nothing. And we are going to end with Seth's statement to the news channel. Yes, we are. Because unlike Summer and Lily, Seth has another voice that's roaring, and that's his father.
Incomplete. We don't want this to damage the investigation. So we would just caution anyone who is following the case to just use some caution as to what you see and what you believe. It's caused a bit of a distraction because a lot of what has been out there in some of the social media channels has been rumors and speculations and theories, and some of that has been advanced and people have caught a hold of it as if it's what's really happening. That has resulted.
You know what's really irritating? They have not done a press conference, and this is what she begins with instead of the child that everyone's there for. Very irritating. Very, very, very irritating. They're always covering their own patooties. Like everything else is the reason they are getting distracted. Bull, they're not doing their jobs because they're not even raising awareness. And that's her job right here, my friend.
Resulted in us getting information that is either, like I said, distracting. It's taking away time and effort from what the agencies need to be doing as far.
So instead of talking about social media distracting with their information, she should be addressing right now the mother and the stepfather with their distracting misinformation. Boy, it makes me hot. I'm sorry. So hot.
Is looking for Sebastian. We have had so far, as of this morning, 314 tips that have come in through the tip line. It's been mentioned, but I'll say it again. It's 1-800-TBI-FIND. We are also taking tips through email, which is tips to TBI, TBI, at tbi.tn.gov.
Which I sent something to them last week, and you get an automated response. You have no idea if they even looked at it.
What's next? We want people, as Chief Deputy said, to continue to remain vigilant, get vigilant, get Sebastian's picture out there, continue to share his picture, his information. Now that it's getting to be nicer, well, not today with the weather, but now that the weather has turned warmer, people may be more inclined to be in their yards. If you go out and see anything that looks different, let us know. Something where perhaps a teenager could have hidden. If you have a large amount of property in the area or something that has any kind of holes or unstable footing or ledges where, again, where a teen could have gone to hide or to play, and you don't feel comfortable checking it out, let us know. We'll get somebody from law enforcement to go out there with you or to check it out themselves.
So this was April 2nd of 2024. 2 months, a month and a half down the road. She's still repeating the same things they said. She's still repeating the same things she said day one. Please check your sheds. Okay. Keep his face out there. That is her job. We're doing it, but she's supposed to be, according to the Department of Justice. Let's keep going. Thank you all for being here. It's good to see you. This was April 2nd, 13 months ago, and was the last time they've said a word.
We just want to make sure that every stone is unturned, that there's no stone left unturned, that we want people to make sure that we are looking everywhere we can. We do want to continue to get the tips, but please don't provide information that you might have seen through social media channels.
No stone unturned, but yet they failed to call an eyewitness who went to the police station in Oregon because she 100 believes she saw the P-foots. They never contacted her. Dogs team, when they came in months later, did. Same words from the beginning. She works with the guy who said where he is, he's not coming back from. This is quite an act, in my opinion. Quite an act. Because they know where he is, he's not coming back from. What that means, I don't know.
If you have information about Sebastian, about conversations you might have had with him, things he likes to do, places he liked to go, any people he may have mentioned that are in his life, that could be helpful in finding out maybe what he was interested in. Finally, we want to thank the community. We want to thank the media. You guys have been really good about keeping his name in the public's eye. That's really important. And thank you for your diligence in providing that information out there. And as Chief Deputy said, we also want to thank the community. From the very first day, everybody has really been all in as far as whatever they can do to help in the search, to help pass information on, providing water for the teams that were out conducting the ground searches. So thank you again to everybody. I'm going to pass it back to Eric Credit.
The weather is rolling in. We've got time for some questions, so.
He starts with, he doesn't have time for this, basically. The weather's rolling in. I can't with this guy. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. There is no evidence to support foul play is involved in the disappearance of Sebastian.
But at this point, you don't rule it out.
We're not ruling anything out.
So 5 weeks, and you guys covered so much ground, searching, going back, researching, checked out every case of a possible sighting, nothing confirmed, not a trace of Sebastian anywhere, nothing found, no footprints, no video, nothing.
Nothing that is taken us to locate Sebastian.
And are there any?
Did you hear the way he worded that? Nothing that has led us to Sebastian. They have video. They watched it at the command center. They know it's foul play. Individuals were told it was not a kidnap opportunity, happed upon it randomly. No, they were told no. They know he's not being honest. He doesn't have to be honest with us. But he gets off, I think he gets real defensive in a little bit. Take a good look at him because you don't see him. He's serving and protecting Sumner County, but he doesn't speak of the most high profile case that's going on in the country that lives in his neighborhood.
Any working theories?
We come up with theories almost daily and try and investigate and make sure that we're doing everything we can to find Sebastian.
Share any of those?
No, sir.
Two questions, if I may. Have you ruled out Sebastian's mom and stepdad's involvement in this case? And as a follow-up, have you cleared their alibi?
I think the TBI said it best. They've been nothing but cooperative with law enforcement since day one of this investigation. There is no evidence to support foul play on the part of Sebastian's parents.
He doth protest too much, in my opinion. See how defensive he gets right there? Did you see him gulp when the question was being asked? When I called him, I am telling you, he answered. And then when I said, I'm calling regarding information for Sebastian Rogers, total change. I could feel him pull back. His voice got snippy and very different. Very different. He does not want to talk about Sebastian. And yes, he does have proof there's foul play. From what I've been told from a very close source.
No, sir.
You mentioned in your last recent evidence, we heard some rumors that there has some validity, that there were glasses found within the past few days. Can you confirm that?
There were some glasses found in the past few days.
Or have you been able to identify that they were Sebastian?
We are still investigating.
And on the cage Navy, have you found there, how was that coordination happening? Have you found their work helpful? Are you guys working in unison or separate teams?
The Cajun Navy is operating independently. They have not reached out to us.
Have you found their investigation or their work helpful, or has it been one of the distractions that has been mentioned?
One of the things that I really appreciate they've done is print flyers and keep Sebastian's face out there. It's my hope that one day somebody sees something and calls in and this case breaks wide open and we find Sebastian.
They claim they've received threats. Do you knowledge they
He just acknowledged that he can't find him. Someone's going to have to find him and call him and break it wide open, in my opinion. Because we need to go over some historical. I would love Grady. We need to go over one day. Yeah. We need to go over some historical things with them. Give Craddock a lie detector test. And how about some county commissioners and some TBI agents and a Hendersonville police officer or two, right? Parents, let's get them hooked up there. This guy serves and protects Sumner County, and everyone's terrified. They're angry with him. He still doesn't care that his people feel slighted. They feel unsafe, and he still doesn't speak. After Chris's explosion that day, oh my gosh, the emails I got. And people were writing to him and above him, not a word, doesn't tell him we've got it handled. Everyone's in control. Nothing.
any police reports or reports to the sheriff's department documenting any of these alleged threats?
No, sir. They would have to call the police and report them.
Where does the search go from here? It's been 5 weeks, there's been no signs. Do you believe he's still alive? And what are you guys going to continue working on?
My hope and prayer is that Sebastian is still alive, yes. We're going to continue to work on this investigation, follow up every tip and lead that comes in. Some of this may revert back to us going over some things that we've already done for the 6th, 7th, or 8th time. A fresh set of eyes never hurt anything. We're going to continue to work to find Sebastian.
Has the story been changing at all? Are you been talking with people, interviewing them for a second time possibly?
There is no evidence to support foul play.
Are there any active currently that you guys are pursuing?
We have tips called in daily.
Any of those tips seem legitimate enough to expand law enforcement resources?
Regardless of their legitimacy, we're going to follow up on them.
Oh, really? Then why didn't you call our source in Oregon? Completely ignored her. Never contacted her. Dog's team had to. Weren't speaking to Seth until Dog's team got involved and the FBI put out a reward. Then miraculously on Sebastian's birthday, you decided to open the lines of communication and admit you did have some evidence. But now, because that limelight wasn't needed right now, in my opinion, he's not speaking to Seth. Brandon's not communicating with Seth. I'm not meaning to say Eric's not speaking with Seth. Let me rephrase that, please. Seth said, Brandon Carter, they're giving them the leads. Pretty much the leads that are coming in are coming from Dog, okay? Seth sees them. They give them to Sumner County. Brandon's not responding and communicating to Seth about such leads. So what happens? Seth doesn't know if Brandon's checked it off, so Seth has to go do it regardless. No communication. There's no excuse. Remember, Brandon Carter is the lead detective, and that is his only job every day. Yet he can't communicate with the father of the missing child. I would love to see him show the taxpayers, in my opinion, 8 hours worth of work for the last 15 months. My opinion.
I'm certain there will be.
You met with the biological father and mother this past week. Is that at their request, your request? Is that just re-interviewing them again?
That was at the request of law enforcement. It's not uncommon to talk to the family in investigations like this. I've got time for one more question.
Just overall, how has this investigation impacted the morale at your department, especially with all the scrutiny coming online?
Let me put it to you like this. If my kid was missing, this is the team I'd want on it. The men and women of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, the FBI partners, the other local agencies, the Secret Service, everyone who's had a hand in this case is doing everything they can to find Sebastian. Morale's high. We are here and we are dedicated. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for.
I do have to say, I find it very offensive. They threw a few breadcrumbs to shut him up, right? I find it very offensive that he keeps saying from the moment he got to the podium that he doesn't have time. Clearly. You've made it clear. I can't believe he keeps saying that. I'd never noticed that before. Well, I guess his kid would still be missing. Yeah, I guess so. To have that team. Okay, we are going to hold tight. We are going to, now, this one also, like I said, big stories from the families. Mom's not searching. Mom's not doing interviews. Into Sebastian and Lily and Jack, non-related individuals doing the speaking. Summer, it was her father who wasn't there, who was out of town. See all the patterns? Not accurate descriptions, not recent photos, not a consistent story. So we don't have an accurate narrative. Hi, Joni. Right? I want to go watch Seth's. I know. And Lady for Justice, did you see how he came to the podium saying, it's raining, I don't have a lot of time. Okay. And then he's like, I got time. I'm running out of time. You are, I'm stunned. I had never caught that before. He wants out of there so badly. It's killing him. Let me use a different word. Hi, Mark. Hi, Jenny Machete. Hi, Alda. Hi, Clark. Hi, Donna B. Hi, Little Miss Sharon. It's agonizing to him to have to speak about Sebastian's case for some reason. He's terrified. He doesn't want to do it. And they need to get to the bottom of it. Please write the Tennessee Attorney General, the Tennessee Governor, and your state's Governor and Attorney General, because clearly Tennessee, if we're going to find Sebastian, we got to bring people in from out of Tennessee, in my opinion. True story. Sumner County, call the sheriffs, the marshals. You clearly need some help. You have not located the child, and there's no shame. People will respect you. He's tarnished his reputation. I wonder if he'll win. They need to run someone against him, but people don't like him. But they've got to find someone else to vote for, right? Or he's a natural in. So if you're a local, everyone email the DA too. Do you know he took things to the grand jury to go after Bullhorn Betty, but can't muster up with all the video, audio that they have? I know that, well, they have my audio. The video they had from day one, they knew a sedan was there. They knew he had been taken. They knew he didn't run away. They sounded the Amber Alert. And yet they have nothing, they say. People are telling people, no, you don't have to worry about your kids. But they're not telling their public that. Just their, circle, I guess. Well, you're there to serve and protect everyone. Everyone's taxes pay the salaries. Everyone is part of the community. So they all should be respecting everyone, and they won't even send a car out half the time when they're called for that neighborhood when people were scared. Well, are they in your yard? No, call us if they are. Did they do something? No, but they keep going up and back around the house. Well, let us know if they come on your property. No care that people's doors were being banged on front by KP and SF for footage, and the neighbors were scared. No. He won't call anyone else on the case, in my opinion, because of the shit show they've created. I don't know, and that's my opinion. They tried to look good after dogs and the FBI came in with the reward. But for a sheriff to run an entire election and never say his name. No posts on his page, no post on the Sumner County page. Brandon Carter, that's his job every day. His only job is Sebastian, they say. I would love people in your town to request a log of what he does with his time. Not because for any other reason other than Sebastian deserves better. And today on National Missing Child's Day, we had a great live this morning, my first one called The Buzz Unplugged, where we more casual, relaxed. We weren't talking true crime. We were talking mental health because it's also Mental Health Month. Ways to take care of ourselves, self-care, physical, mental, social. And then I put out a video about Eaton Pats, the little boy who was one of the first, according to Library of Congress, the first on the milk cartons, first missing child. He has also played a role in the founding of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and was one of the first children who was not a celebrity, that first missing children that was not a celebrity that got national coverage. But I do digress, and I'm sorry. I really, like I said about Ronnie, I know that Summer's case needs fire under their tushes too. I do. But, and I know that, like with his son, that situation, okay? But I think he would be workable if he knew what to do. Like, you don't just accept that you don't have cell service in some of the areas of your jurisdiction, right? I mean, isn't that not normal? And I'm asking you all. Thank you, YouTuber. You're the best. Tennessee Attorney General, 615-741-3491. Jonathan Skremmett, Skrmett, I believe. Tennessee is also the only state that the governor does not appoint the Texas Attorney General, or the people don't elect. The state Supreme Court does, and they're part of the judicial, so they deal with the appeals. Interesting, right? Okay. We've listened to KP and Seth so much, or KP and Chris so much. So let's go ahead. We know these are children. Most children are found. When they're not, most times it's family. And when we have these individuals, Don Wells, Candace Wells, KP, CP, Malia, and Daniel, not providing details that are accurate, wrong clothing. Sebastian's clothing's wrong too. Summer's, that they were questioning, was it pants, was it shorts? Well, how are you questioning that? You saw her 2 seconds before, you said. No, 15 seconds. I don't know what she said, a minute. I don't know. Very strange, but if you can't get true details and you don't have a true timeline, in my opinion, you don't have a true story. You don't know what happened. The audio don't lie. I agree. I agree. You know, Brandon Carter reached out to me for the audio, so he has it. If it were stupid, well, you know what, though? He maybe wanted to listen to it to make an investigative decision if it was relevant, right? But they were thinking it was. He had to look at it. He had to listen to it. So if they don't believe there's flashlights back there and they don't believe a sedan pulled up and they didn't see anything, why would they think there was audio in the backyard? Why would there be audio? From where? Nothing was going on, right? Yeah, the church hasn't said anything about Sebastian on their website, correct? And Summer's church was very odd in my opinion. Her Sunday school teacher, Robin, many thought she took her to give her a better life because they really, truly liked each other. And Robin practiced missing children drills with the kids, how to hide and stuff. Come on. She said Summer was her best hider. I can't lie about that. I mean, you can't make that up, right? I am not kidding you. So, I mean, okay. Also, Sebastian's case, we have that lady, Janine Chrissy, and I am not gonna, you form your own opinions, but I'll tell you what. I have had many people say, if you find Sebastian, you'll find Summer. And I don't know to believe them, right? She says, you know, she knew what happened to Summer, but she's giving out names first and last and has been for months and calling them out and knows they unalive people, but she's not scared. Right? Interesting. So that gives some credence to it a little bit for me. And when I reached out to Dog, when she put out that first video, Dog's team, and at night, I said, I just want you to see this. Don't think I'm cuckoo. But there's a couple of things that jump out to me. And they responded with, yes, Jay, a couple of things jump out to us too, and we're looking into it. So they didn't say she's a crazy woman. No. So she's giving a lot of names, and she brought up the poker party being relevant. And she brought up all those guys being at the poker party, right? Deserves a lot better. All these children do. But when your own mom can't give a careful detail and you're missing, we know we've got a problem, allegedly, in my opinion. And we certainly aren't getting the true story if we can't have a timeline and accurate details. We have nothing. Buzz, I believe she is telling some truth in her statements. Agreed. Agreed. But I think that, the Snuggle Trouble tells people in his town that he's a soft person about assaulting people sexually. And, he minimizes the reality of the violation, the crime. And I think that's unbelievable, in my opinion. Janine Chrissy, let me pull her up. Let me pull her up for a second before we listen to Seth. Give me a second. Mods, do you mind keeping the chat for a second? Thank you. Y'all, what's her channel name again? Is it Loving Vegas? Leaving Vegas? I know, Donna B. For any person who has been SA'd to hear that, can you imagine? Everyone most people who've gone through that say it's so hard because there's some people, to tell it because you think people aren't going to believe you. But imagine your sheriff saying it's snuggle trouble. So is he going to go after anyone who SAs you there? Doesn't sound like it, does it? So that tells the criminals what? You just chalk it up for snuggle trouble. And that tells the victims what? You're not going to be validated. And that is my opinion. Oh, my research indicates she's telling some truth. I believe some of the people around Summer Wells and Sebastian. Well, Richard Bishop in the yellow raincoat. I believe it. Vegas love. Thank you. Love in Vegas. Thank you, guys. We'll listen to that first one where she comes out and she's just boom, right? Let's see. Let me see where the first one is. Am I sharing the screen with you? Let's get off. Get you with me here. Okay, let's see here. I don't know which one would have been. Hold on. More shocking info. I wonder if it's, yeah, this might be it.
I had every right to, because
I'm going to go potty real quick. Excuse me. I'm sorry. But so I'm going to let her run for a second. This is Janine Chrissy. Full credit to Love in Vegas. And this is from 6 months ago, but I am telling you, yes, Jen in Georgia, I totally agree. He wanted out of there. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to talk about Sebastian. It was awkward feeling. He didn't have photos up, nothing. Didn't invite the families there like they do sometimes, Yes, she mentioned CP. She calls him an emmer. Let's listen. I'm going to run to the restroom, but I'll be right back. Janine Chrissy.
Is like, that piece of I got on here and I complained about the bite marks, and I had every right to, because David told me when the act was done, when this happened with Sebastian, and all law enforcement that's following knows what's going on, that I have the right to talk about this. First of all, that whole show with Betty, that Chris Proudfoot in the courtroom looking like with that mullet looking like a jokester with his fat wife. I don't know if she's pregnant by him or what, because she's looking all blown up in the courtroom. And I'm thinking to myself, please, God, don't tell me this thing is going to is pregnant. Or maybe she's just in the house afraid to face the public and eating like a pig, because that's what she looked like. And so didn't he look like a pig with his mullet. We have the right to say what we think and what we feel. And I'm definitely saying he looks like a pig. Now, yesterday when I'm talking to David, I said, give me something on Chris Proudfoot, because I said, I'm not going to let up on this. You're not going to get away with murder, Chris. You are not going to get away with murder. You and your pig juice-drinking wife is not going to get away with murder, because you know what? He would have gave me something. He said, show me a little and that's how David operates. Of course, I didn't bite. I got all law enforcement on my phone and so forth. But I'm almost at the point where I hate you so much, Chris Proudfoot. You're such a pig, and your wife's now a fat pig, that I almost took the bait, just because I know he would have gave me something in return to help bury you. But anyway, it's not game over with you. And again, David, you need to make a better move. Give me something a little bit more. And then just maybe you might get that photo in the end when you need it, when you're in prison. Come on, you got to help me bury this piece of I know you think that he's a piece of by now. I mean, you talked about Victoria, who you used as part of the scam, who, by the way, is also getting arrested federally. So if this gets back to you, Victoria, plan on a sweet demise in either Danbury or wherever. You're getting arrested federally anyway for your part in this. I don't know much more than that, but I do know that because your part was big with Ron Legg and with David. Anyway, David trashed Victoria like she should be. The blowjob that killed everybody, all law enforcement that knows about it, like the worst thing in the world, like made the world cry. That's what you did, Victoria, to a dementia man on the instructions of David and Ron Legg. Anyway, that's all coming out in the open. We're not talking about that. Everybody's going to get arrested. My point being is, David, if you could trash her and put her on Front Street like that, I know you're thinking about that Katie pig the same way.
See, that's not the first one. But see how she's throwing out names?
I'm waiting for you to do something embarrassing. Like, who's that Chris Proudfoot think he is? He looked like an asshole with that mullet. They both looked. And to be in a courtroom going against Betty, who's looking for a missing kid so passionately, that is so asinine, and that is so stupid. What I'm witnessing, in that Tennessee is allowing that, like that they are actually ready to persecute Betty. It's almost disgusting. The judge shouldn't have took the case, just like he should not have. He just lost a son or whatever. He shouldn't have took that case. His mind ain't even there, and he didn't even know the whole story of what's going on. And detectives should have filled him in. Betty shouldn't have been persecuted. That's my take. Everybody's looking for a kid. You got these two Hamadans that know where that murdered he murdered his stepson with the real mother of the kid. You got those two Hamadans sitting there all proud and egotistical, and it's just it was a disgrace. That was another disgrace by Tennessee. As if you didn't disgrace yourselves enough with the bite marks, not hauling them off to a hospital. That's because probably all payoffs. You got. This was over a will. That's why it took place at St. Jude, and that's why the name Sebastian involved Charles de Naples. He organized it. David scripted them, and like Charles would get away with it. He does that little thing. Only the circle around me gets arrested. Well, you know what, David? Everybody's in animosity right now. Never know what might pop out, Chris. Anyway, and I have the right to say all this because I do know what's going on. And you know what, David? Do something. These people are are animals. Like, you know, the police lost it once with they missed their chance with the bite marks, and when Katie was vulnerable and they should have really grilled her. Like, come on. Maybe they didn't have all the facts then. Who knows? But now they do. Chris Proudfoot's a pig. His wife blew up and looks like one now, too. She not only is one, she looks like one. And I can't stand you, Chris. And you know what? I'm out to find out where Sebastian Rogers is. You have no idea how passionate I am about it. And I just might get what I want. Believe that. With all that being said, Wolfie, you know what I mean? And the same to you, Proudfoots. There's nothing you can do. Don't send me any letters. It's a waste of time. I already have too many facts about this case. You're an asshole that murdered your son. I'm not saying alleged. I'm saying for real. What are you going to do about it?
Okay, that's not that. Wow, right? Yes. Oh, she did? She put one out about Yellow Coat Guy? Do you guys want to watch one more? Let me see.
Third, but even at 32nd, see from the ranks of 30th to 33, which is 3.
Can you see it? Okay. Is this the one?
Chris, Janine Chrissy here, reaching out to you. I want to say you're a murdering pig. If you got anything to say to me, you want to take me in front of a judge, you know what I can say to that? Well, then you're going to have to bring in Dave Davidson and Richard Bishop and maybe Charles DeNaples before you question me. Because you see, Dave Davidson called me right after your stepson was taken. So, Chris, and he also sent me the HD50 Christie Cement. So if you got anything to say to me or want to take me to a judge, I'm just going to say, Janine Chrissy here, reaching out to you. I want to say you're a murdering pig. If you got anything to say to me, you want to take me in front of a judge, you know what I can say to that? Well, then you're going to have to bring in Dave Davidson and Richard Bishop and maybe Charles DeNaples before you question me. Because you see, Dave Davidson called me right after your stepson was taken. So, Chris, and he also sent me the HD50 Christie Cement. So if you got anything to say to me or want to take me to a
The Christie Cement. Gina Marie says, hi, Gina Marie. I think the missing children are being trafficked underground, then to the parts and in shipping containers if they make it that far. It's possible. It is. I mean, we don't know because it's so complicated, right? I know they, in my opinion, they believe that about Summer, and I'll get to that this week. Oh, that's what we were going to go over Leslie Earhart mentioning Summer. I'll do that. Remind me before we get to Seth, please. Oh, Sam. How are you doing, Sam? It's good to see you. Oh, Sam, that's a great point. Sam says, I have a feeling Sebastian's at The bottom of the sea, in my opinion. They are Navy, and Navy bury the past at sea, in my opinion. Thank you for that comment. That's interesting. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and keep going.
Judge, I'm just going to say, kiss my ass. Because then they got to bring in your little mobsters that went along with you, which would be David and Richard Bishop and your affiliation with your parents and the DeNaples. I don't think you could do that. So since you can't do that, you know what I got to say to you? Fuck you. You're a murderer. Try taking me to court. Because then you got to bring in all the others that I'll bring in with me. But all that being said, have a great day.
That's what I was getting to, and I got distracted. In Summer's case, the Freemasons came up a lot. Sebastian's case, it has come up. I haven't heard anything about it in Lily and Jack's, have you? But it's been mentioned in Sebastian's case, and it's been mentioned in Summer's case.
That in America, English Masonry is different, but in America, after Blue Lodge, it forks off in two directions. You can either go to the Scottish Rite or the York Rite. The York Rite has 7 degrees. The Scottish Rite has 29 degrees. The York Rite is the Christian path, so to speak. And the top of the York Rite is what is called the Knights Templar degree. Now, in the Scottish Rite, you have these 29 degrees. Some of them are really creepy. I mean, seriously creepy. They have one, I think it's a 19th degree, where they actually try to call up the devil. You know, presidents, actors, I mean, people like, you know, Roy Rogers, Harry Truman, all kinds of celebrities, Burl Ives, they're 33rd, or were, they're all deceased now, 33rd degree Masons, Gene Autry, many of these people.
We talk about witches and how Richard Bishop and Joe Wolf, you know, they believe in black magic and they're Satanists. Well, do you know what these Satanists do? They take children, they abuse them sexually and get them in a panic. There's some kind of adrenaline or something, I forget the name, but I tried to Google it, remember it, that the child will produce, and they need that to help themselves with their satanic powers. And this Summer Wells abduction was just that.
Finally, at the top, the 32nd degree, which is the Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret. And that's as high as most people go. If you're some really important person, either in an industry or in politics or in entertainment, you might be offered to become a 33rd degree Mason, which is the highest degree in American Masonry.
So Joel Wolf and Richard Bishop really are these disgusting Satanists that take kids, have sex with them, abuse little kids sexually for some kind of adrenaline that they produce in their satanic rituals. And that's what they did with Summer Wells. These guys are animals. Richard Bishop is a
Now, that is not the first time we've heard that about Summer Wells. We've heard many times that it was a satanic ritual, possible snuff film, etc. Sorry, trigger warning. I'm just pulling up HD 50 for you all because she mentioned cement. Oh, brother, we know CP mentioned cement, right?
complete animal. And his wife is she's disgusting witch.
Basically, Masonry is an antichrist thing It claims it's not religious, but it is. If you drill down into this deep enough and read the books that are written by people like Albert Pike, like Albert Mackey. These are two, or Arthur Edward Waite. These are three prominent scholars of 19th century, early 20th century Masonry. And all of them were occultists. Arthur Edward Waite, he wrote a book on black magic and pacts, how to sell your soul to the devil. But in my book, I document how almost every single leading occult person of the late 19th and early 20th century was a Freemason. But what none of these men understand, I don't think, is that deep down inside there's this very dark, evil energy, which is very sexualized. We document in the book how many men that have come to us over the years for deliverance, they were in Masonry and they began to be drawn into wickedness, into perversion, and even into pedophilia. And it's dark, dangerous stuff because it opens up unholy desires within the men.
And I've been bitching about this for so long. And they put out that picture with Sebastian Rogers with the yellow jacket guy. I don't care what anybody says. I say it's Richard Bishop. He has the yellow jacket somewhere because he didn't think that anybody actually was going to make an issue of it. The cops aren't never going to say it's Richard Bishop in the yellow jacket till they have all their evidence. Yeah, I say it's Richard Bishop in the yellow jacket because he organized the abduction of Sebastian Rogers. Over, like the whole thing all coincides. And like I said, I just thought it was Wolf, Richard, and Bishop. Like years ago, I sent this West in because he's on the government watch list when I was sending things to the
Sorry, I'm talking to you all. I said, do you see this? Look at on the phone. You can see Jean's. Wow. Let's keep watching. And we're going to get to Leslie and then Seth. And then I'll read to you real quick. Yeah. HD50 is fast setting fiber reinforced latex modified heavy duty one component concrete. So it's fast setting concrete. Repair material requiring only water to mix and apply. So if you're in a hurry, you need something to dry quickly and set. Wow. Not only is it concrete, it's fast setting concrete.
Over, like the whole thing all coincides. And like I said, I just thought it was Wolf, Richard, and Bishop. Like years ago, I sent this West in because he's on the government watch list when I was sending things to the FBI. I sent his name to the FBI like years ago. And they investigate everything when you send them something or when you and I sent pictures of him being on government watch list. Anyway, they have been looking into things. And like I said, there's like a certain group of people that know what's going on. It's going to be a big RICO bust. The feds take forever. They really do. And the law don't tell you anything. But the other people that know besides the law are the intuitive tarot readers. And like I said, this really is my story that I'm keep posting on these tarot readers. When you're sitting down at night or whatever, take a look because it is really the explanation of horrifying white-collar crime. And this white-collar crime is all by warlocks and witches. Yeah, like covenants, like groups of like people like this. And that's why it's worth listening to, because you can't make this shit up.
The first, see, what they do is they bring you into the temple, and they have the secretary, which is a male. We're all males. There's no female masons here. I know in Europe, I think they do, not here, unless you're an Eastern Star. That's different. Okay. But the Freemasons, you got the Blue Lodge, which is composed of all different nationalities and backgrounds of Masons, right? To include different religious sets, Hindu, Muslim, whatever. You could be atheist; they don't care. You could be Satan. You could be a devil worshiper. And they'll bring a devil worshiping Bible, right? That satanic Bible, so you could you take the oath. Yeah, they don't care. See, I didn't know that until I started doing more homework on it. Now, what did I get myself into? But
did you ever get that far?
Oh yeah, I became a master mason. Okay. I mean, the highest you go is 33rd, but even at 32nd, see, from the ranks of 30th to 33, which is 3, that's when they divulge the actual truth to you.
I got you.
You know, which they have you in darkness all those years, and then once you start climbing up the rituals and the phases, and you go up the ranks or degrees, right? You call it. You could go from the 3rd degree to the 32nd degree in a weekend.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you could do it in 2 days. They call that the fast track.
Joe Wolf, you're making the Masons look like idiots. I heard there's a bunch of grown men in a graveyard. Bunch of grown men standing in a graveyard practicing spells, and they're Masons. How sickening and stupid is that, Wolf?
You know, and not every Masonic lodge. I mean, they all talk about the same, but everybody's different. You know, because in order for you to be a Shriner, you got to be a Mason. For you to be a Knights Templar, you got to be a Mason. And the more you go up in that pyramid, and the highest you could go is a Rothschild.
Did you people hear what I said? Joe Wolf took Summer Wells and took her to my house, where she probably ended up in the well or a burn barrel. I'm not sure which. I think the burn barrel, like the way they had for sale on it in Candace's yard. And I think David is the one that scripted Candace and Don, and Joel took her, and they took her to 353 Daleville Highway. It's my story. I'm sticking to it, and I believe it. He's a dirty pedophile old man, the Bishop's. His wife is a witch that practices black magic every night. Sherman's got stalkers. I told you, I'm walking my dog. You got the Bishop coming around one corner, and then you got some freak in a red car parked around the right. And you know what? I do feel energies, and she was a witch. She was a no-good witch. And I'm listening to all the tarot readers, because they'll say what the law won't say. They'll say the things that the law is not saying. And this Sherman Weston, this scam was so disgusting with all his little witches, his little covenant of witches and practitioners throwing spells my way. I say, kiss my ass. They're not hitting. They're going to wipe these all out like flies, like swatting flies. And what don't get wiped out, SWAT will clean up. Seriously, you people are all assholes. Stop it with your witchcraft. Everybody's sick he is. These are all getting exposed.
If you start exposing them, they'll go after you. They'll go after your family. They'll try to kill you because the government's part of it. It's not only civilians. The government is in cahoots with these people.
Right, right.
And in there's sectors throughout the whole country that split apart. I don't know if it's north, east, south, and west, but they have witches that are in charge of these sectors and warlocks that are in charge of these sectors, and they pretty much monitor the satanic. I'm going to use the satanic. Members. Mm-hmm. You know, like they call it congregation too, just the opposite of being a Jesus believer. You know, I don't want to use the word Christianity. Yeah. But I want to, believers, right? So they have a specific warlocks and Council of 13 witches, which are either male or female, and pretty much they're in charge of thousands of members of the congregations and the local witches and warlocks that are in charge of that congregation. Wow. And a lot of them are politicians, heavily involved in witchcraft. And they have to do certain rituals and certain things in order for them to gain favor with the Rothschilds, and then they send orders of doing things for that family. Wow. They give them orders, and with those orders money comes with it.
So many children that aren't found. Some with parents who are searching for decades. Sorry. Some with parents who are searching for decades, never giving up. Others with parents who don't search. Some who give such precise detail because they want to make sure, right? They want to make sure. Sorry, I'm looking for real quick. What's her name? Let me just find Leslie. Which one was she? I thought she was right here. Hold on one second. You wanted Leslie Earhart's recent interview. 12 missing summer wells. No, that's weird. Oh, there we go. Got it. So, and then he has a mother, some of them have mothers who give such detail and care and they're out there and they're roaring and some don't. And we get changing timelines and changing stories, and that's why we don't find their kids.
Along those same lines, when a case remains unsolved, like for instance, the Summer Wells case, that's extremely hard because there's nothing that we want more than to solve a case, especially involving a child. And it's hard not having the answers, or being close to maybe discovering something and just knowing that we just need a little bit more information to resolve a certain situation. So there's nothing better than seeing a case solved and seeing justice served. But at the same time, it's also extremely hard for those cases where we haven't seen justice served yet.
They just have to get a little piece, is that what she said? To solve a certain situation. Let's go back and get that. Let's listen to that one more time. This was recent, by the way. And this is credit to the YouTube channel Deets, Deets.
Hard for those cases where we haven't seen justice served yet. Right. Yeah. A case solved and seeing justice served. But at the same time, it's also extremely hard for those cases where we haven't seen justice served yet.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned Summer Wells, so I did want to ask any updates on that case from your perspective or from the TBI standpoint, or?
I'm glad you asked. It is still an open and active investigation. I think most people think that the case has gone cold, but that's not true. We still have agents working on it constantly. We follow up on any new information that comes in. I can say that we've been following up on information that we've received in the last few months. So it is very much an active investigation and we will not give up.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. And
so it's not a lot of information.
So I'm glad to, yes, it was in the middle of something for something else, but that's really interesting. Oh my goodness, Roxy. Okay, hold on one second. I will Google it. It's really interesting. I totally lost my train of thought. Let me go look. Hold on. Hold on, let me check Facebook. I don't see anything. Let me see Facebook. Are you guys Googling too? Okay, let's see here. No, I don't see it. Still missing. Let's see here. No, I don't see anything that says they've been found. Do you know what channel you saw it? Well, put it in initials or something. But no, it's not relevant anyway because nope, I don't see it. If you see it, feel free to send it to me. You all are amazing about that. Timestamp it if there's an important time. You all are amazing about that. So these children, most are found in the initial hours and most are found. A small percentage are not found. Very even smaller strangers, usually family. Doesn't mean we're accusing anyone. I'm saying, right? These things don't add up. They're not careful with detail, careful with supervision, in my opinion, careful with many things because they're not providing the right information. And who wouldn't provide the right information when your child's missing? Someone who's trying to cover their own patootie, in my opinion. It's National Missing Child's Day. So many parents searching. This is probably a terrible day for them, a sad day, a melancholy day. Light a candle, say a prayer, whatever's your thing for all the missing kids, all the families. And you know what? How about for all the family members who aren't being honest, 100, to do the right thing? And how about all the people who have knowledge to do the right thing? Thank you so much. I appreciate my time with you all so very much. And I will see you soon. Hit the like button if you would on your way out. And if you have not subscribed, we'd love to have you. Talk soon, my friends.